I call the member for Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I rise also to associate myself with the comments of previous speakers. And I rise to honour a brave Australian who paid the ultimate sacrifice for the freedom of our country. Corporal Campbell Baird was a posthumous awarded Victorian Cross just recently. And he was the 100th recipient of a medal at the highest award presented for bravery. Corporal Baird displayed selfishness and heroism during engagement in Afghanistan, which saw him pay the ultimate self-sacrifice. In order to save his lives of his team members, his actions embodied the Victorian Cross inscription for valour. The Victorian Cross has a rich history within the Australian Armed Forces. Australian troops were the first recognised for their gallantry during the Boer War in 1899, and since 1996, brave Australians have been awarded the Imperial Victorian Cross. And since its inception in 2009, the Victoria Cross for Australia has been presented to 4 brave men, including Corporal Baird. With great pride, I discovered that Lance Corporal Bernard Gordon, who was awarded the Victoria Cross during World War I, was a resident of Wright, my electorate, for many years. His families continue to operate farms in the area. In my electorate of Wright, we have a very proud and active RSL movement with a large number of former and current armed servicemen and women calling Wright their home. We have 14 RSL branches and sub-branches within Wright who work tirelessly to promote the interests of returned and service Defence Force members for their families, as well as playing active roles within their respective communities. I know my RSL members would also like to associate their condolences through this speech. So I acknowledge the President of Tamborine Mountain Sub-Branch, John Brooks, for his contribution, Nev Waterson from the Hellerton Sub-Branch, Eric Guilfoyle from the Bow Desert Sub-Branch, Ernie Hargraves from the Rathdowney Sub-Branch, Brian Rands from the Laidley Sub-Branch, Marcus Brutley from Jimboomba Branch, all associate themselves with the condolence of a fallen colleague. The RSL movement has helped exponentially with the involvement of living Victorian Cross recipient Keith Payne. Keith was awarded his VC for gallantry during the Vietnam War, where he located and rescued 40 men after an attack while struggling with his own injuries and avoiding enemy fire. Keith is the last living recipient of the original Imperial VC, and he's a living legend. I've had the good fortune to know Keith for over 20 years. Keith resides up in Mackay. I had a pub. I was a manager of a pub, and I was first introduced to Keith, and the guy that introduced me to him said, "Keith's a VC." And being young and impressionable, I said, "What's a VC?" And then, as a result, I had to shout the bar.
Several times.
Yeah.
Several times.
But Keith's workload as a VC here in Australia should also be recognised. Keith, on several occasions, attends events on behalf of the RSLs throughout my area, and spent his time since retirement from the armed services as an active member in the veteran community. In particular, Keith has invested a lot of time in counselling returned servicemen and women suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, an issue which he feels continues to be ineffectively dealt with. Keith has said in the past that he battles for recognitions of PTSD and other mental causes as a result of the war. He's truly an inspirational man who has given himself fully to his comrades at war and now the RSL movement. When we go to Memorial Day, so within my electorate there's a place called Canungra Warfare Training Centre, and there's a memorial there, and they've planted small trees to emulate the forests of which they fought in. It's not uncommon to see Keith disappear into the scrub and sit quietly where he feels he can best connect with those that also paid the ultimate sacrifice. Corporal Cameron Baird, at a young age, proved that he was truly an inspirational man and made the greatest sacrifice for the safety of others and the freedom of our nation. To his father Doug, to his mother Kate, to his brother Brendan, nephews Riley and Max, I offer my deep and heartfelt condolences. Our nation owes Corporal Cameron Baird and his family a debt that we can never repay. Mother Nature is not designed so that parents, we have to bury our children. It is a cruel injustice. An unintended consequence of this condolence motion is that it's made me go back and put the face of my own daughter on that sacrifice. And I would struggle as a parent to have to bury my own child. It must be a heart-wrenching experience for this family. However, this award places him in Australia's military history, and as a nation less, we should never forget.